Hey, what's up guys? Okay. All right, hey, okay. All right, I got this. Hey guys, what's up? Thank you so much for clicking on another one of my videos. So this year I read 120 books thus far and still counting because it's midway through December. So I tirelessly looked through my list of books that I read this year and picked out 9 that were my favorite and that I personally think will change your life because they changed mine and impacted mine in one way or another. So we have a couple different categories: general fiction, contemporary fiction, historical fiction, romance, mystery, thriller, fantasy, audiobook, nonfiction. I'm sure there are other ones, but we have a couple different categories. So let's get into my top 9 out of 120 books this year. Okay, so the first category or genre that I picked out was historical fiction, and my favorite historical fiction book this year is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and this is arguably my favorite book of the year, maybe all time at this point, I venture to say. Okay, but anyway, look how many tabs I have on this book. I absolutely ate this book up and I cried harder than any book that I've ever cried in my life at this book. That didn't make sense, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I have read, I think, 4 Kristen Hanna books at this point, and all of them bring me almost to tears or 2 tears. And although that may not be like an enjoyable experience, crying, I guess, to me it means that this book is about something real and it moves me because it is so realistic. And so this is a World War II historical fiction, and I look forward to reading a lot more Kristen Hanna books this year, so I would definitely recommend checking this book out. Okay, so the next genre that I picked out was general fiction, and I'm not sure if this book is general fiction or science fiction now sitting here talking about it, or magical realism, I don't know, but I'm just gonna say it's general fiction. My favorite book in this category is Remarkably Bright Creatures. This one shocked me because I did not think that I was gonna like this, even when people were raving about it. I was just like, why would I want to read about a talking octopus? I just didn't get the appeal. But after I read it, I definitely understand the appeal, and I have not been able to get this book out of my mind, and I could not put it down when reading it. It has a really cute found family trope, and it does speak to a lot of deeper themes, and it's very thought-provoking, honestly. I loved it. Also, another thing, I was reading this on the dust cover when I just picked it up, and it says that this is Shelby Van Pelt's, yeah, I just had to check her name, Shelby Van Pelt's debut novel, so it's her first novel, and I honestly think she knocked it out of the park. So this is a book that I hold very close to my heart. Okay, so the next category that I picked was contemporary or literary fiction, and for this one I don't have a physical copy of the book because I borrowed it on Libby and listened to it on audio, and it's called The Blue Bistro by Ellen Hildebrand. So I checked on my Fable app, and Ellen Hildebrand is the author that I have read the most books from this year, so I feel like she needed to have her moment. I've read 10 books by her this year, and The Blue Bistro is my favorite by her. This book is about, it follows these characters who work at this restaurant called the Blue Bistro, of course, and the descriptions of the food in this book just made me constantly hungry while listening to it, but I feel like it definitely gave a behind the scenes look of what goes on in the restaurant business, and I really connected to a lot of the characters and enjoyed hearing their backstories. Ellen Hildebrand is so good for describing characters, and this one was no different. This touched on a lot of deeper things, and as usual with her books, it just showed that life is not perfect and not everything can be wrapped up in a perfect bow. And I love imperfect endings and imperfect characters, and this book really reminded me of that. So the next category is romance, and I read the most books in the romance genre out of all the genres this year, so this was a very hard decision, but I had to go with Last Call at the Local for this book. So this follows Rain and Jack, and both of these characters struggle with mental health issues. So Rain has ADHD and Jack has OCD. So I personally connected with the characters, and I felt that it was a very accurate picture of OCD, because I think a lot of the time the disorder is just kind of stereotyped as needing everything to be clean and be straight and everything like that, but it's actually much deeper, and I think this book really goes into that and displays that. And the same thing for ADHD. often wrongly stereotyped, and I think that this book did those experiences more justice than just like the common stereotypes. And I love how the couple worked through, kind of like helped each other grow in the midst of their mental battles, and also found a way to have this beautiful relationship. I love this book. I'll probably reread this book over and over again. So, okay, so the next genre is fantasy. So for this genre, I picked Once Upon a Broken Heart. This book really got me more into fantasy, or showed me that I can like fantasy, because before this year, I would rarely ever pick up a fantasy book. I think this may have been the first fantasy book that I actually picked up, or maybe the second. But I loved it. It was very fairy tale-esque. I loved the magical elements. If you are like me and are not a big fantasy reader but want to get into it, I would definitely recommend this. I feel like this is very entry-level fantasy. Again, I just thought the story was so cute. I ran out and got the next one really quickly after. Have not read it yet, but will be reading it hopefully in 2025. Thriller! So the next category is thriller. Okay, so my favorite thriller book this year has to be The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. So this book I read in January, I'm pretty sure. I just picked it up because it was on sale at Books A Million, and I had no idea what I was in for. I carried this book around with me, and my husband can attest to this, for days, like anywhere we went, because I could not wait to see the ending. And the plot twist really got me, and it opened up a brand new world for me, because then I started reading Frida McFadden's backlist and her new releases since then, and I just fell in love with her writing because it's so fast-paced, it's so gripping. Of course, it's not going to be the most esteemed writing, I guess you could say, but I like these books for what they are. I loved this book, and no one can tell me differently. So the next genre is mystery, and I'm not sure if this book would be categorized as a mystery or thriller, but I personally think it was a mystery, so that's what category I'm gonna put it in, and that is The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley, or Foley, I'm not sure. But first of all, let's talk about this cover because it's stunning. I love the picture, and then the neon green that she did. This is just very eye-catching. I have heard a lot of negative things about this book, but I honestly was hooked the whole way through. It was very dark. It gave like dark academia vibes. I really liked it. Now the reason I would not call this a thriller is because by the end of the book, like everything had pretty much unraveled. It wasn't like a plot twist for the most part, but the mystery did like breadcrumb you up to the final ending, I guess. Anyway, I was just hooked, and I read this in October, I think, September or October, and I can't stop thinking about it. So that's why I picked this one for mystery. So the next genre that I have is nonfiction slash memoir. So I put those two together, and I read a few good memoirs this year, but my favorite has to be Dinner for Vampires by Bethany Joy Lenz. And I, at first, initially did not plan on picking this book up because I didn't realize that it was Haley James from One Tree Hill. I loved One Tree Hill in high school growing up. So after I realized that, I was intrigued, and I was also intrigued to find out what the title meant, because I read the subtitle, something about being in a cult while on a TV show cult or whatever, and I was just intrigued to find out what the title meant. Anyway, I could not stop listening to this book. All hours of the day I was listening to it because it was such a gripping story, but also I felt real sympathy and anger in my heart for Bethany after hearing what she went through. And there were so many times that, and I'm sure that she feels this way too, like talking about her story looking back, but then I just wanted to like jump through the phone and like yell at her or like form myself and be like, no, like wake up, don't let yourself be treated this way. Like it was so heartbreaking, but she wrapped it up to like a good ending and everything, and like you could get a good moral of the story out of it, and I just personally loved her story. So I don't think that I'm going to forget anytime soon. The last genre, well, this isn't a genre, but a category that I picked out for this video is audiobook. So my favorite audiobook this year was, wait, what was it again? Oh, my favorite audiobook this year was Taylor No. Okay, I'm serious. Okay. My favorite audiobook this year was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid is another author that I discovered this year, and I think I read maybe 6 books by her. But this one I loved because for each of the different band members, so this is about a fictional band, and each of the different band members have their own voice in the audiobook, which I found makes it it made it much easier to follow along with because you weren't trying to figure out, okay, who's talking now. So I ate this book up, I loved it, and I have started watching the show, but mainly I just love the book for what it was. I feel like you could get a lot out of it, and it just shows a lot of imperfect characters, and I just love that in literature, so loved that book. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. Please let me know down below 1 or 2 of your favorite books this year and why you think that I should read them and put them on my 2025 TBR. Please like and subscribe. The support really does matter and make an impact. So please, if you're able to do that, do so. And yeah, keep your eye out for another video from me in 2025. All right, wait, what if I make one before that? So keep your eye out for another video. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm almost done. Okay. So keep your eye out for another video. I'm sorry, I've tried to be normal. Let me think of something really sad. Okay, tell me something sad. All right guys, be looking out for a new video. Thank you.